Hey, great to have you here. So I know it's been a while since we've done one of these, but I did wind up getting this DBZ Broly in the mail this week. So I figured, why not open him up? Let's take a look at him and give a quick review. Probably what we've done before with like looking at the accessories, the articulation, and the aesthetics, so like the 3 A's. As before, gonna be a different vibe though for this video, probably more casual. Planning just to do it here in front of my desk instead of having like a setup where I'm like looking over my shoulder at the figure itself. So hopefully you get enough of an idea of what this figure looks like from doing it this way. So with that, let's open up the box and take a look at this guy. I haven't even opened it up yet, so I still need to cut it with the knife here. So, and I will say I apologize with this setup. There may be some like banging on the desk and stuff, so I'll try to limit that as much as possible. But since this box is so massive and we're kind of throwing around parts a whole lot, it may be a lot of quick moving noises and stuff like that. So hopefully not too bad. You get the lovely ASMR of the big packaging noise too. Oh, that stand is in the back. Let me before jumping into the actual figure, let's show off the box. Actually, I do have also double the boxes here because we have the original brown shipper. If anyone cares, I know some people really love these things, but all they really say is the character's name right there. That's pretty much it. So some completionists may value having that as part of the delivery. And for folks who aren't aware, so this is pretty much a figure that was released long ago, and fans voted on this and the cooler behind me there as far as the two that they wanted to kind of have come out for the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball. And I actually ordered this guy long ago, I think back last February. He was supposed to come out in, I think the first run was like September, and then the second run was January, but then January's got delayed to February. It's like the end of February now, so it took a while, over probably a year, to get this guy from when I first ordered him. So not the greatest there. I've obviously slowed down a little bit on the channel doing Figuarts, news and unboxing stuff. I feel like overall, I haven't loved the direction Bandai or Tamashi's gone when it comes to like quality control in some of these guys, and then the customer service associated with that. Obviously, prices are always going up, so with that, you would expect maybe a better experience. And I don't know if we always get that, but either way, this is the front of the box. It looks like kind of that old school style, so very cool there. Obviously, the paneling is opening here, so this is actually the side right here. Not much there. Normally, you get like a window, so this is kind of that old school style, as I mentioned, of him just in a pose. And on the back side, just a few options as far as posing. Apologize if the lighting is a little bit all over the place. As mentioned, this is kind of just my normal setup instead of like a planned situation. That looks almost like red with the Goku. The Super Saiyan Goku almost looks like a Super Saiyan God, but I think it's just kind of the lighting there. So pretty cool box. It is a bit of a throwback, which is awesome to see. And then when it comes to the actual figure himself, let's take this off. And as I said, you could get a lot of like noises from me opening this because it is the very first time I've taken him apart. All right, let's set this stuff off the side. Obviously, like the clamshell stuff you normally would expect. Should we look at the stand first? That may be a good starting point. Normally they tape these things onto the bottom. I guess a good question maybe for today. Do you prefer Z Broly or Super Broly? That's a tough one for me. I think both of them are pretty effective. I mean, like aesthetically, this guy looks cooler, but I think having an actual like lore behind him a little bit more than just I hate Goku was pretty cool. So I may be partial to the character background for Super, but the appearance for Z is probably cooler. So probably a split answer for me. All right, we'll see how much of that ripping off the box I cut out, but here's the actual stand finally here. It's see-through, as you can tell, but it's kind of that yellow hue to it. It's actually a little bit more see-through than I expected. I expected from the imaging, I guess it's always on the ground, so it's hard to really tell if you could see below it, but kind of makes sense. I think the purple one had a little bit of that for the cooler, but it was also a little bit thicker. Yellow maybe looks a little bit cooler being see-through though. And it's a little bit maybe more durable than I expected. I know they had the ceramic tiles a while ago for the stands, and like the ones you got from Comic-Con, those looked cool. I never got them myself. But then I know for the Vegeta, was it the 10th anniversary of Figuarts? Whatever it was, maybe 15th anniversary. They came out with the stand for that one, and I feel like it's very flimsy. This one being a bigger base, similar to the cooler, maybe makes it less likely to be flimsy, but I do feel like it's a little bit thicker than I expected given some of the recent stands we've gotten. I mean, the design on here, it looks cool, but it kind of just feels like somebody put a Cricut design together and they just like put the label on top of the stand. So not the highest quality, but it's cool to have as a kind of remembering piece of the anniversary and makes it unique to this figure that the original purchase would not have had. I think for the most part, everything else likely came with that original release. So a very easy financial choice for them to kind of come out with this again and sell an old product, probably at a higher price. All right, let's get the stand out here. So we have your general, beyond that stand, your other stand. I think this is more so for the actual effect piece from what I can tell on the imaging. Yeah, I mean, this other one, they have Goku being held up by it. So there's that, or you can do like the effect piece. So a lot of stuff to unbox here. So we have this, you get these things, plug them in here. And then you have this little C piece to kind of wrap around somebody's body potentially. They're pretty effective. I mean, you can obviously see them, but they're clear at least. Satisfied with that extra addition thrown in there to this figure. Obviously, the actual character himself is the big release. What should we start with? Should we just pull the guy out? Let's start with the maybe aesthetic like we've done before. I mean, aesthetically, I feel like Broly is pretty hard not to typically be like top tier. That's like what he brings for the most part. And we get that once again here. As I've mentioned, sorry if the lighting isn't the most stellar. That's actually worse back here. Closer maybe is better. All right, don't be alarmed. I turned the lights off, closed the blinds. I figured the lighting was a little bit better after doing that.
Don't be alarmed. I am fine.
So maybe we'll continue the review in this view. So let me know if this is a little bit better, hopefully. Yeah, aesthetically, I mean, this looks like what you expect from a Broly, like just a massive, chunky dude, probably just giant compared to everyone else. Maybe I'll also grab a Goku before I wrap up too to do a size comparison there. So just a massive force pretty much. I feel like back then it was like kind of the Cell era where it's like just bulky Super Saiyan characters as far as what was the coolest thing to come out with. Broly fits that, and I think it's pretty much working overall for him as a character. He's got his little gauntlets on as well, so as well as his like little necklace piece. So what you'd expect pretty much when you get a Broly figure. Obviously the joints are a little bit more visible because it is some of an older figure, so a lot of the moving parts to it are going to be pretty basic. Feels a little bit tight when I'm moving it around too, but we'll do that with the articulation a little bit more. Broly overall, aesthetically, pretty strong. I'd probably say 9 out of 10, honestly. I mean, it hits the mark. There's not much like complexity to it. As I said, it's just kind of a big dude, so you get what you kind of expect when it comes to that kind of stuff. Try to get him a little bit closer. I don't know if closer is better with the darkness. It's a little bit easier maybe to see from back here, but yeah, I mean, it's Broly. So good work there. 9 out of 10 for the aesthetic of Broly. Let's look at the accessories first before jumping into the articulation. So we saw the actual figure himself. Comes with 2 alternate faces. So the first one was just kind of a, blank stoic face. This one, we'll see how well you can see it, but it's more of a smirking face. Yeah, there we go, ish. You can kind of tell he's given more of a smirk in this one, which is maybe more appropriate for Broly. Also, maybe more appropriate for Broly is him yelling. So sorry, the lighting's a bit all over the place. I feel like it's trying to like catch up a little bit. You have him yelling here, so that's kind of the 2 things you expect, like a smirking evil face and like a screaming face. That is typically what Broly does. He's kind of just in berserk mode pretty much. He doesn't come with like a behind him aura effect. I feel like that with the scream would be a little bit better. So I may lean towards maybe just doing the smirking face. That feels like very Z Broly. So he came with the fists on him, and then in typical fashion, there's not much else hand-wise. I think it's kind of the same as the Super Broly. You have your gripping hands, so you're kind of ones that are like curled at the end almost, like a martial arts kind of hands, or potentially like a grabbing Goku's face kind of hand. So a few options for how you want to use those. And then the other pair of hands is like an open palm blasting hand. Feels like that's mostly what these are used for, right? Like this is probably what you would use with the aura effect, where it's just kind of that I have my hand out, I'm about to hit you with like a Vegeta blast kind of thing. So relatively basic, but it's always tough to judge accessories with someone like Broly because like there's not a lot that you would do. I think the only thing I would consider, I'm about to show off the blast effect. Maybe like a bigger blast would have been cooler. Like to throw in something different, but they threw in the stand, so I guess that is also part of it too that we showed off earlier. Are these all the same? There's actually 3 of these little green orbs. I'm about to do like a magic trick. Where'd this one come from? I don't know if 3 is necessary. Maybe doing like a variety of like a barrage of blasts, but at the same time, there's only so many spots on like a stand. They didn't really show off a way to use all three. There's only really that one in his hand. You could probably come up with creative ways to have like multiple being shot out there. You know, you get like one of these hands and then you have like a variety of them kind of around, maybe like two and then one in front kind of thing. Or just like a constant throwing these beams, but they're pretty cool. I mean, they're deeper green than I would have thought. I know like a lot of the recent ones have been more translucent, like the blue ones. These have a little bit of that, but they feel like they actually have some color to them, which is fitting. Once again, Broly. Green is his kind of like blast attack or his like just power color. I think that works. I guess the other thing they could have considered doing is he only has one like hair piece. So you're swapping out faces. You're probably just pulling off this and then putting a different face on. Let's try it now. What's the point of a review if we don't show you stuff? The downside is I'm probably pulling this off camera a lot. So sorry if that is the case. But you take off the bangs, take the faceplate off. Let's put the smirk on. That feels, as mentioned earlier, that feels like Broly. So you put the face plate on now, and then the bangs back on. They do have like a bit of a, you can kind of, it's hard to see in my camera. They have a bit of a green tint towards like the center of the hair. That's kind of cool. Now you have a, not that you can really tell, now you have smirking Broly. So nice. I'll probably go with that face. That feels like fitting for him. We'll see about the hands and the blast attack stuff. Accessory wise, they could have done more, but with Broly, you don't expect a whole lot more. So accessories, we have the stand. It's always hard, are you taking into account the price point, but we'll say maybe a 7 out of 10 for the accessories. I could see 8 potentially, but we'll go with 7. Now the articulation, this is probably gonna be the hardest thing to show off on camera with this vantage point, doing this kind of casually, but as far as just kind of moving stuff around, this guy definitely is creaking a lot right off the bat. I've just opened him, so maybe has not moved in a while. Maybe because we ordered him a year ago. He's been sitting in the box for a while, so needs to get a little bit of movement. It's interesting. Can you see it from here? When I'm moving his head around, there's like a major gapping in his like head. You can kind of see it there. His head from his neck. It's like separating. Can we see it on that side maybe? Yeah. Which, I mean, most angles, you're not going to see that. You're looking typically at like a front viewpoint, so I think that's fine. But it's kind of how he gets a lot of range. Like, that looks goofy, but you can get him to get a lot of range if you use that, but then you have to kind of hide it. Otherwise, it looks like his head is like not attached. He kind of looks like a xenomorph right there, or like a third form Frieza kind of thing. So pretty good range on the head movement. You just got to be careful not to make it look too unrealistic once you find a good landing spot. Shoulders, I mean, we got a full rotation. It's good to see that. It is once again very creaky. A lot of movement for such a big guy. It's always cool when they have like the massive dudes that have like great flexibility. Let's see the shoulder or the elbow here. Elbow does not really go past that. It feels like that's not even a 90. I don't think I can even really force it further. I think it would just, can we push it a little bit maybe? Like it kind of wants to stop right there. So not a whole lot of flexibility on the elbow. Wrist, I actually still have the little wrapping paper in, but wrist feel pretty good. So the weak point of the upper body I want to see so far is the elbow. What about this side? It's always good to check both. Yeah, this one's also kind of limiting. I'm sure there's like a piece getting caught in there because it is so much plastic that he just can't go beyond that. He can't go further beyond, if we're quoting Dragon Ball. But yeah, overall, elbow is the only thing I would say is a little bit lacking. Torso area, not a lot of movement for me. I mean, you can rock it back and forth pretty good. Probably got to be careful because there's a little bit, it has almost like he just got like a spray tan where there's like a little bit of that orange in the line work there. So I don't know if that's going to rub off potentially.
What's a rub off means?
You get a little gapping if you lean him forward too much. But I mean, you get a little rock, not really anything leaning side to side. Like this is not going very far, and if it goes, it doesn't stay, like comes back kind of. And the waist feels very stiff actually. I think this piece may even be like kind of locked in here because like you're not really, I'm trying to rotate him at the waist like right here and it's not really budging. It feels like this piece may be a firm piece holding him in place, and then the legs have their own mechanic. This thing obviously you can move around a little bit to get it out of the way. Same with kind of the skirt piece, although maybe it's just, yeah, the back skirt piece doesn't want to move. So this one right here is pretty firmly in place, but the two side ones and then the one in the front, you can move around. So except for this one, all the other ones have a willingness to move. Maybe mine's stiff, but it feels like it's very locked in place a little bit. I don't want to force it. All right, leg wise, I mean, once you kick the skirt up a little bit, decent. Not like the most. He's not a full 90 degrees, but he's probably good enough for Broly. Out to the side. How much splits we get? Not a whole lot. I mean, you have that skirt piece kind of catching the legs. This is maybe before they really optimized using how to get leg articulation, even with those lower body pieces. So the waist, pretty stiff. Let's check out the knee a little bit. Knee is, I was gonna say not bad, but it's kind of similar to the elbow in that it's not a full 90 degrees. I mean, it looks fine. I don't think it, there's a little gapping, but it doesn't look like overly unusual. It just doesn't get that much range. Let's try this one too. Yeah, probably about the same for that side. And then the boots don't really have any movement there. So like this piece feels like it's connected to this piece. So there's pretty much a locked in place there. So you're not doing a lot of like shin moving around. I mean, you can rotate at the thigh, but that's it. There's no rotating down here. Ankle, let's see a little bit. Got some movement there. That's probably serviceable at least. Keeping in mind, once again, this is like a 10-year-old figure or however long it is. Then the toe articulation, it's fine. There's a little bit of a piece. I don't know if you can kind of see that. Let me turn this way from my vantage point. Yeah, you can kind of see it here. There's a bit of a piece sticking down. So I don't know if that's gonna like make it harder to stand flush. If you have that like the little lip, does this one do it? Yeah, they both kind of do it. So when you lift the toe up, the like halfway part of the toe kind of pushes outward. You can see it probably better with this one. Yeah, like this part of the toe when it moves goes down because this part goes up. So that's probably not the greatest either. Articulation wise, it is hit or miss sometimes with some of the bigger characters, but I would say overall, I mean, the weak points for me so far are the elbows, the waist. Knees are serviceable, but kind of from the knee down, not much there either. I'm going to say articulation for this guy will be kind of generous because there is like some expectations of limited movement kind of with these bigger guys. We'll say 6 out of 10. So not the worst thing ever, but also not necessarily super stellar. But overall, I'm going to say, what did we give it? A 6 out of 10 for articulation, a 9 out of 10 for aesthetic, and accessories was a 7. I think this Broly probably gets a 7 out of 10 average for me. I mean, he is an iconic character. He is one of the old school movie villains from Z, and he's going to be in pretty overpowering presence on your shelf. So if you want somebody cool, there is some third parties that have done similar variations that are maybe more modern. So keeping that in mind, this is once again an older figure. So there is some of that to kind of keep in mind. And it is cool once again to get the stance showing the significance of 40 years and stuff like that. So a bit of a unique one, but let me know down in the comments below. Did you guys pick this guy up? Did you opt for one of those alternate newer ones, or did you already have him from way back in the day? Curious on collectors, what their history is with this guy. Let me go quickly grab the other Super Broly and the Goku for size comparison. All right, now that I knocked over everything in the shelf back there, I have the comparison here. I will say, keep in mind, I swapped out the one hand. There's definitely a lot of creaking, so I may have to use some like shock oil or something like that at some point. But on top of that, when I pulled the hand off, the kind of gauntlet wanted to slide off a little bit with it. So keep that in mind, not to probably tug too much on that. Otherwise, you may wind up pulling the pieces off. I did also not to really talk about the necklace. This thing's not a loose piece, just FYI. It is a piece of plastic that is on top of the chest piece. They're kind of just one combined thing that does not move at all. It is firmly locked in place there. So all of these like visual things are pretty much just there for aesthetic. There's not much articulation to them or like free flowingness to them. They're not like a cloth cape or anything like that. It's very much just chunks of plastic. So I don't have solid ground I'm going to show this, but I mean, size comparison, this is about what you expect kind of with a Broly way dominant over somebody like Goku. And I also grabbed, let me set Goku down here, the Super Broly. I'm not really sure. Let's see who's bigger. They're probably around the same size, I would guess. But yeah, I mean, once again, I don't have them on solid ground. I think they're roughly kind of the same size. Seeing them side by side, I do think the Super Broly is probably the better figure. And I mentioned Z Broly being more like aesthetically cool, but I mean, Super Broly, when he gets powered up, he is also pretty awesome. So I do kind of lean maybe towards that camp at this point in time, but they're both pretty cool, honestly. I will say, I think if standing, maybe Z Broly is just slightly higher. Maybe it's because his neck is a little bit longer. And you can kind of tell by the difference here though, like he's definitely slightly bulkier in the arms and stuff, whereas Super Broly's got more definition, more like defined muscles, but less like massive ones. So it's kind of fitting for the character differences between Z and Super. But you can kind of tell already, like this guy, you can feel like the fur texture on his waist piece, whereas this waist piece is very just much like smooth plastic. So definitely you can see some improvements over time, which are probably even better in today's era of figures. But yeah, overall solid figure. Is he worth the $90 to pick him up? Well, at this point, I guess he's actually not able to be picked up. He's probably just on like eBay and stuff.
Your families will be built automatically.
I would say I would not pay like aftermarket prices for him, especially because Broly is such a popular character. They're gonna do remakes at some point in time. Like they'll come back with a different Z Broly, probably better articulation. I've kind of learned that as we've done, so many versions of Goku, for example. Like this is the Sand Raised on Earth one, the 2.0. There's like a bajillion Gokus. So I mean, the downside is if you never buy one, then you never buy one. But also, if you miss out, don't pay higher prices for it, because there's likely going to be another one. Maybe not as much for like obscure characters like a Kui or something like that. Those guys may be more one-offs or like less likely to repeat. But Broly, we know this guy's coming back at some point. I mean, it's kind of like what they did with the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. They had the anniversary one, and then they gave us a budget 35 one like shortly thereafter. So it's only a matter of time before Figuarts comes out with another Z Broly. So I would say cool to have, but there's probably a limit to how much willing to spend on it versus just waiting for a newer, probably better one. So, but yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you thought about this style review. I know it's a little bit more casual, just kind of hanging out. So appreciate you watching, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Take care.